Welcome back. In this video, we are going to take a look at the coordinate plane and all of the fabulous parts that it is made of. The coordinate plane allows us to plot points at specific locations and use those points to graph lines. We are going to start out with this list of, vocabulary words. We're not going to fill in the blocks. We're actually going to take these words. I'm going to take out axis because we'll talk about that with the X and the Y axis. We're going to use these words as kind of like a word bank and place them on the coordinate plane right back here. So to start off, let's give this guy a name. Now, it's not a plane like an airplane that you go and fly in. We are going to keep all of our lower extremities firmly on the ground. But this is a plane as in geometric space, as in a flat surface. We are going to use this flat surface that you see before you to plot the coordinates or the locations of our points. When we use the coordinate plane, we have two axes. Those are the lines that divide the coordinate plane up into four pieces. There are two of these. The vertical one is the y-axis. The horizontal one is the x-axis. These two axes, these two straight kind of number lines really, divide the coordinate plane into what we call quadrants. A quadrant has the prefix quad, meaning four. So these axes create four sections or quadrants for the coordinate plane. When we name them, we start in the top right corner. So we start up here in the top right, and this is quadrant 1. And then we go in a circle. We go to quadrant 2. And then quadrant 3. And then quadrant 4. Now we name these with Roman numerals. So this is not quadrant I. It is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you get mixed up with those, start in the top right and make a C. Now, once we have our quadrants labeled, we need to talk about plotting points on our quadrants. When we want to plot a point, we're actually plotting what is known as an ordered pair. That doesn't say pair. Pair means it has two parts. We'll have an x coordinate and a y coordinate. The x coordinate tells us where to go on the x-axis and which direction. The y coordinate tells us to go up or down on the y-axis or in the y direction. Then the question comes, well, Ms. Graham, if I'm going to put numbers in there like 5 and 3, how do I know where I start? So glad you asked. Every time you start counting to plot a point, you start right at the center at a super special point called the origin. Just like the word originate, where something begins, this point, 0, 0, is called the origin. Now to be consistent, I'm going to use my X and Y colors. My X's were pink, so this is 0, and my Y's were green, so this is 0. When you look at the x-axis, since we have 0, 0 in the middle, that means if we travel to the right, you're traveling in the positive direction. If we travel to the left, we're traveling to the negative direction. For our y coordinate, if we travel up, we're traveling in the positive direction. If we go down, we're traveling in the negative direction. Now let's plot some points. I am going to place some points on the graph, and then we'll talk about how to name them or how to label them as an ordered pair. I'm going to put one at, I'll put one right here. We'll put one right here. We'll put one down here. And what the heck, I'm going to stick one down here. Okay, so let's look at where these points are sitting. To determine my ordered pair, I'm going to count to the right because I have to go to the right to get my point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So my x coordinate is 6. To count the y's, I count 1, 2, 3, 4. So my ordered pair for that point is 6, 4. I'm going to travel around in the same direction as we did when we were labeling the quadrants. This time, I'm in quadrant 2. That means I need to travel to the right or in the negative direction on the x-axis. And I'm going to travel back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my x-coordinate is -9. Now make sure you put the negative in there because otherwise it means we'd go in the other direction. For the y direction, I travel up 2. So the y coordinate for my point is 2. Let's look at our point in quadrant 3. I guess I'll stick it back here. I didn't plan this real well. I'm going to start at the origin again, and I'm going to count 1, 2. That wasn't very good because I went sideways. 1, 2. So my x-coordinate is -2 because I counted to the left. And then I have to count down 1, 2, 3. Since I went down, I went in the negative direction on the y, so my y coordinate is -3. Let's finish this up down here in quadrant 4. I have to go 1, 2, 3. My iPad is acting up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was going in the positive direction. So my x coordinate is 5. Now I need to go all the way down to my point. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the y coordinate for my ordered pair is negative 10. Now let's plot some points. We probably won't do all of them, just because once you've done a few, you're pretty good at it by then. I'm going to go ahead and start by labeling some important pieces or marking some important pieces on my graph just to help me. I'm going to put a point at the origin, and I'm going to remind myself that to the right is the positive direction on the x-axis. To the left is the negative direction on my x-axis. Up is the positive on the y, and negative is down on the y-axis. I'm going to start with point A. A is negative 4, 2. Remember, x comes first, then y, just like in the alphabet. So x, I need to go backwards 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 2. And I'm going to call that one point A. B says 0, negative 8. So I'm going to stay at 0 on the x. I'm not going to go left or right. I'm just going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to locate point B. C is in the positive direction. It's 5, 4. So I'm going to go 5 in the x direction, 4 in the y direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to jump over to G. G says go negative 4 in the x and negative 4 on the y. So I'm going to go to negative 4 on the x and 1, 2, 3, negative 4 on the y to get point G. All of the others, notice when you have a 0 for one of your coordinates, that means you're going to be on one of the axes. If I look at point H, negative 3, 0 means I go to negative 3 on the x direction, but I don't go up or down in the y direction. So x or H lands on the x-axis. If I look at F, F is 0, 5. That means when I start at the origin, I go 0 jumps to the left or the right, but I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps. So that's the idea there. Here we're labeling the points. I'm going to go ahead and label the quadrants too, because you can never have enough practice. I get these confused sometimes, but I was listening to myself. And I knew it was me because I sounded like me and it was wearing my shoes. So I told myself, start in the upper right-hand corner. And that's the first quadrant. And then I told myself to make a C. So I'm going to make a C. I hope I was telling the truth. That means this would be quadrant 2. This would be quadrant 3. and this would be quadrant 4. Remember, we use Roman numerals to label the quadrants. Now I'm going to label my points. I'm going to start with D. D, I don't have to go anywhere on the X to get to D. I don't go left or right. But I do have to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means D is at 0, 4. Remember, X comes first. If I do point B, to go to B, I have to go to the right 2. So that means my X is a positive 2. And then I have to go up 1, 2, 3. I'm going to skip over 4, 5, 6. So the coordinates of B are 2, 6. I'll do C because sometimes when it's on an axis, it's tricky for people. To do C, I have to go backwards along the x-axis. So I go back 6. So my x-coordinate is -6. I don't go up or down to get to the point, so it's a coordinate of 0. That wraps up a very quick review of the coordinate plane. If you have questions, be sure to send me an email. Send your specific professor an email so we can get you going.